Hello, foolish mortals, and welcome to yet another episode. I believe we're on episode 9 and part 8 of the Haunted Mansion history of what we would call Distory, Disney history with Kirk and Kate. I am rocking my old school narrator of the Haunted Mansion, the Raven, holding a Mickey bar on the back. It says famished mortal because we're hungry out there. All right, let's go grab Kate, bring her into this thing, and get us all started. Oh no! Oh no! Kate's gone. Hang on. Oh no! Oh no! Kate's gone. Hang on. Hang on. The hosts after they resume alive. That's weird. What happened?
I don't know.
Hang on, are you back on your audio thing? Because it sounded weird. I was like, I heard myself like from afar. I was a disembodied narrator, ghost host, hatchet man myself for a second.
Oh, it's being weird. Maybe.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hey, Christina. Hey, Allie. What's going on? Hey, Becca. Hey, Rhonda. What I was saying is, did you... Dude, are you serious? Mel is now opening wine. So if you're wondering why there's somebody power drilling in the background, that would be her electric wine. Sorry. All right, no, you're good. Did you know that this glows in the dark?
I did not know that.
So you can feel it. There's a texture to it. But Becca, shout out to Becca because she's the one that sent me this. Look, it says it right here on the bottom. Place the front cover under direct light and then take it into the dark to see happy haunts materialize. So these guys glow.
I wonder if I turn the light off if it'll glow. Oh, I have to turn this one off too. They do kind of glow.
It's not.
Spooky.
You know what's weird though, right? Is it does say like happy haunts will materialize. I like all the language, but bro, they're right there. Like I can see them already. Like they don't need to materialize any further. It's not like there's like a random one over here. You know what I mean? So
Right.
wine and Disney, a great combo. Yeah, for a lot of people, that's their thing. That's why we have drinking around the world, kids.
That's awesome.
All right, you let me know when you're ready, and we'll start like our whole spiel. If you're doing your little recordy fancy pants podcasty thing, unless that's already going, and here we are.
It's already going, so I'm ready. Hit it.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, welcome to another episode of Distory with Kate and Kirk. My co-host with the most ghost host, famished mortal, Kate the Disney Cicerone. If you are not following Kate here on TikTok, please do me a favor and jump over, press that little button to click over to her stream and give her a quick follow and hang out there or hang out here. The way this rules is I can see everything on my chat, she can see everything on her chat, and then we can answer questions effectively to everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. We are on part number 8 of the Haunted Mansion. And guess what? We are now right about to leave the attic. I have a lot of stuff queued up in terms of content, and I even found something. I don't have a picture of it, but now it makes me want to go back to Disney and get a picture of it, because it's actually, there's 2 things I now have to go and explore for. Little Indiana Jones mission.
I know there's so many. I have like a long list of things when I'm there in July in Disney World that I want to check out. And I'm just like, I've thought about asking you, I was like, no, I want to go explore myself and find them.
No, that's like half the fun, right? Like if you want to send me the list ahead of time and I can like precursor a couple things just in case like you can't find it or I can't find it with you, like just so we know where it is, I'll like sneaky Pete it and figure out. The other thing too is Kate's going to be here in July, and we kind of are doing your Carpe Diem, right? For those that don't do the lives with us normally, the Walrus Carpe Diem is Seize Your Perfect Park Day. Like, we're kind of doing that with Keys of the Kingdom, and I kind of feel like, are we even going to get on many attractions that day? I feel like your Carpe Diems require lots of research, lots of photos, video taking, and exploring.
Yeah, we'll be looking at a lot of really random things. Probably looking up some of those things that I want to find on that day, most likely.
Yeah.
That's my first full day there on my trip. So, but we will go on some attractions. I mean, there's some I have to go on, like the People Mover. Like, I don't have that in Disneyland. There's some things we have to do on my Carpe Diem day. So I'm thinking about it, putting a lot of thought into it because I'm so excited.
I love it. So, Becca, you have your book out. So, if you're following along, page 113. Let's get into we're right now, just to set the stage. We have just done Constance Hatchaway, the bride. We've seen the Hatbox Ghost, and now how do we get out of the attic, and what happens when we get out of the attic?
Yeah, that is the question, and
It
I
is.
feel like this is a debate almost, not between you and me, but like a bigger debate overall in the Disney community because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many theories about how we get out this window. Now, if you remember when we were in the attic, the reason that they make that really hard right turn in the attic is because we would have seen the beating heart bride in front of us and been
Would have
so
happened.
terrified.
Would have already happened.
Yeah, we would have seen her and then we would have turned and then we'd like head towards the window because we're so terrified we're looking for an escape. So that's how we get to the window. Now, I have the original summary of the ride from WED from 1969. And it says, we suddenly fall backwards off the roof and then descend past grasping demon trees, which we'll talk
Well,
about the trees in a minute.
well, that's the story I like to hear. I don't know if so in my opinion, I do think that either we're so scared, which is probably more logical rather than being pushed, because I don't think there's any reason for Constance to clip us, right? There's no reason. We have no motive. She has no motive. We have no money. We have no money. We went to Disney. We have no money. We've spent it all, right? So so for her, there's no motive for her to like step up her station in life or her tier in terms of opulence or wealth. So I feel that we are so scared and frightened that we either stumble out of a window, through a window, or through an open window we escape and then onto a balcony. And then, in my impression, because we flip backwards, we're falling down, either falling like out of the window, or if you believe the record, which I have the record already queued up, because I want to play one thing for you first, because I
Okay.
just know you'll really appreciate it. And then second, I have the exact storyline that they play in the album, which came out in 1969 for Disneyland. So,
Okay.
but maybe we trip downstairs and fall that way. But I know we go out a window for sure, and there is a broken window in the Walt Disney World that you can clearly see, and you can see the roof of the building as well. So,
Yeah, and I do have this is the concept art for the window of the attic. Looks like this. So it's not really giving us any clues, but that's what the
well, I
window
mean, if it's
looks like.
well, it does give us some clues, right? Because if it was a half-closed window, then we would have to physically creep out, right? That would be more of a prescribed action by us, where a wide open one leaves the possibility of us seeing the bride if we're believing in the Disneyland. You see it originally in her original location, get so scared that you run, like you back up and you literally don't even notice the windows there and whoop, right out.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so
I'm
many
glad
things.
you guys. I'm glad you guys are digging on the sweatshirt. The sweatshirt is our famished mortal, which it has our OG ghost host. Which guess what? We're gonna listen to what the Raven actually sounds like.
Yay.
And then on the back it does say famished mortal. We have these in T-shirts too because guess what? It's hot, and the only reason why I'm in this is because I'm in ice cold air conditioning. All right, let me flip this around. And where is the mic here? So I can get this close to set speakers. All right, first part. This is going to be this is a precursor to just getting a feel for the narration and the narrators here, and how the ghost host as a raven sounds, and then also how we meet our first main characters, which are protagonists of this story are Mike and Karen, who went on a date and it was raining. So why not go into a giant mansion, which didn't look dilapidated, looked really nice, but why don't we do a little B&E on our little date? So let me flip this around because there are some images. You can go and listen to this on YouTube if you want, but we are right about to enter the, is it the conservatory? Is that where all the plants are and everything, right?
Yeah.
Conservatory?
Yes.
Okay. How was the volume on that? Was that bad, good, indifferent?
It was a little bit loud, but it was good. I mean,
Oh,
I
a little
definitely
bit
liked
loud is better. Loud is better than I can't hear anything. Okay,
it.
I'll bring it down just a touch. But what I love is that in this story we're getting. Why did they change this again? They changed this to it's back into enhanced. Hello. So Mike and Karen are walking into the conservatory, and who is our narrator? Well, remember, we have diegetic and non-diegetic, right? Diegetic means that everybody can hear. Non-diegetic means that only like the characters can hear. So in this instance, we are hearing the narrator, but the kids are not hearing the narrator. For them, their narration is coming from the Raven, which I think is so crazy that they gave the Raven like, hey, yo, girl, get out of here if I were you. Like it's like this high pitched, like crazy Raven, which
Like
would
Iago.
so it would so take me out of the story if they use that. And I get it, like because if you listen to the way that they caw, it would make sense to keep that in line. But it would just be just. I think that's one of the main reasons why they were like, I don't think this is gonna work after they listened to the album a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
That's
I
interesting. Interesting. Not only that, but also the way he probably just disappeared into the sets, and they'd be like, "Where is that voice coming from?" And they're like, "It sounds like it's coming from a disembodied ghost." And they're like, "Well, let's just make it disembodied." Maybe that was part of the process. Just
right.
speculation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, so now let's go to origin story again of how do we get out of the attic and there look who we
That's the
got
big.
here. The same picture. But did you have the other side of it with the Hatbox Ghost? It looked like
No,
yours was cut off. So look who's
but
right to the right
this
of it.
one might be from that. It looks like it's the same. I think it's the same, but
It's
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 reversed
it is the
with the
exact
other
same
side.
picture, but I'm now filling the void here. Well, yours is just flipped because it's mirrored.
Yeah,
Everything's backwards. Like Disney's. If you mirrored yours, it would be identical.
yeah.
So, I just love. I don't know. I fell in love more with the Hatbox Ghost, knowing that he's kind of like the conscience. But we're gonna hear about the Hatbox Ghost potentially being a suitor for the bride, and then it'll take us into how do we exit the attic into the graveyard scene. So
I
let
can't
me
wait.
cue this up again. So once again, this recording, if you're just curious, this comes from this album, which they had many different pressings of it. They had a kids version, which had a 22-page book. They had a larger version that only had an 11-page book with art in it. Just different sizes of LPs, and the pricing ranges dramatically. But it has some of this iconic concept art interwoven in it. It's a really really cool piece, because it does, and it uses the Raven quite a bit within it. But I don't know. I love that the fact that yeah, okay. So it's raining outside. That's why Mike and Karen go into the mansion and they exit out the balcony. So is it because of the rain that we slip and fall? Because it certainly feels like we're falling.
Yeah.
Or do we just, out of fright, get so scared by the bride that we go out the window?
Well,
And do we become the thousandth one? Are we the volunteer? I don't know.
well, I have a theory that we are running away originally, as originally planned. We were running away from the bride, and then we
Yes.
saw the Hatbox Ghost right before the window, and it startles us so much that we fall out the window backwards. Like I think we were headed like straight towards the window, but I feel like we might have gotten startled, and that's how we like you're like, oh my gosh, and then you fall backwards. Just a theory.
My head's in here. What? Oh. Which, like, isn't this kind of weird, right? This would be more of an origin story for the Hatbox Ghost actually being, I mean, in the record they say his bride's heart, but this would be more of an impetus if his head was in there and that was his wife, because all of the other gentlemen who were suitors, their heads might be in the hat boxes that are over there. It would kind of all intertwine. Like, why would his head be in there versus somebody else's head if he's just like the moral of the story? Or is he just illuminating to everybody, being a ghost, that hey, everyone should look in the hat boxes because that's where the evidence of all of this is.
Yeah, it could be. It could be the justice that he's trying to bring for himself, that he was murdered, as well as all of these other husbands. And so he's saying, like, look, this is what happened to my head, and now it's in the hat boxes. Go look in the hat boxes, and you'll find the evidence for all the rest. And he's grinning because he's like, I've got her. She's not going to win in the end.
Finally got her.
Finally got her. And
Not
so
really, but but maybe.
That's really fascinating recording. I did go and listen to it on YouTube or watch it on YouTube, and
It's
man,
it's
so
so
interesting.
it's so doesn't fit with everything of the Haunted Mansion, and it's so interesting because the narrator is fantastic, but then there are elements that they use of actual ride sound effects, and there's a ton of just whatever they wanted to use. So clearly they took this storyline and threw it at somebody, gave them bits and pieces of audio that they knew they were going to use, and said, just read this script and add in whatever you feel is comfortable for sound effects. Because like our coffin noise with the like creaking and like nails, that's more of like what it would sound like if somebody was unhinging their nailed coffin. And
Yeah,
there is no exitensio like let me out of here on that version, even though we get grim grinning ghosts later on that same album.
right. Well, that's really interesting. And did you have any more of that recording, or we good? I don't want to move forward
We're
without
good.
you.
We're good. No, 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 no. The next thing that it has is the Phantom 5, and we're not there yet.
We're not
So
there yet.
why do the
Okay.
Phantom 5 yet? And the next part is they have like that and the busts, and then it's like already moved on. So we'll save some of it because knowing us, we ain't getting out of this graveyard.
No, not even close.
Nope.
um, so before we like go to the actual physical falling part, just a quick note about the Florida version. And I wish I had a good photo of this. I looked everywhere, I couldn't find it, but the Florida version of the mansion is really interesting because the outside of it is that Gothic revival castellated manor. Isn't that that's got yes, that's the order of those words. So it's the castellated manor. It is not an old ramshackle haunted mansion with clapboard siding, but that is what you see when you fall out of the attic. You see like this like traditional haunted mansion, maybe New England style house. You don't see that like brick mansion anywhere. You see a wood siding and shingles. And the reason for this is likely because of something they call visual economy, which means they have to communicate a story as quickly as possible because you're only going to see it for a quick second before you move on. That's why they made Julius Caesar very, very obvious in the ballroom. So they didn't, even though it doesn't match the front of the house like at all, if you see that in your mind, everyone's going to think that's an old haunted house. That's because that's what people have seen. So it's to save yourself time in seeing it, the term, visual economy. So that's what they use there, so that you're falling out of an old house is what they want to communicate. And they want to communicate it very fast because you're moving by in seconds. So I think it's
Yeah, you
fascinating to see
and
that.
in ours as well, there's a tree that'll obscure your view very quickly. I know because I've taken photos and video of that falling section for a video on TikTok like many moons ago, and it was on the iPhone XR. Not great for dark. And this is just an aside. If you want to make videos, that one gained like over 1.7 million views. I made it in my garage using green screens and photos from the internet and from one trip that was like months prior. So don't make excuses for why you can't make amazing like in park stuff. Just find photos online, green screen yourself talking about it, pointing out things. There is enough on there. Green screens will make you in parks even though you're not in parks. You don't need to
Yeah.
be here to crush.
Yeah. I don't live anywhere near the parks. So, but we still,
Yeah.
still make
Although
content.
although when you are in parks, you're really smart. You take a ton of content without any narration, then you
Yeah.
can go back and add overlaid audio to it, which is really super smart because you never know if you're going to use that video, that audio, and you probably have them. I don't know how organized you are, but I feel like you have them cataloged. And if not, you can always use iPhone to find places and locations.
They are all organized into albums, like highly detailed albums. That's the only way I can make content. Anyway,
Yup.
back to the haunted mansion. So interesting that you say trees because I have been studying the trees like crazy this afternoon. I pretty much just spent the whole time in the woods. Par for the course for me. So um, the trees were such an important part of the original plan for the haunted mansion. It was the scary trees. So they were going to have, this is the actual blueprints. Um,
By the way, Jackie says no surprise there. Probably both on the folders and both on you spending an inordinate amount of time looking at the Haunted Mansion trees.
Yeah, like crazy amounts. So like this is a blueprint. This is fairly late in the game. I believe this is 1969, right? Maybe a couple months before it was open. It says
I
this
love that they're
mechanic.
hands, you know, like they
Yes.
remind me very much so of Snow White and Scary Adventures or Snow White the
Oh,
film,
I'm
where
not
it
there
is
yet.
like super spooky. I'm sorry. Shh. All right, yep,
No,
go ahead.
these say mechanical trees. So at one point they were going to make them animated. They were going to move, and of course, scary trees. As much as you would say that. Sorry, I didn't mean to shush you there, Kirk. But yes, so back they do. They worked on Snow White. The same people worked on Snow White worked on Haunted Mansion. So Claude Coates was a big proponent of that, and they actually hired. Where did I find my notes so I get his name right? They hired a way back when they were doing Snow White. They hired an artist who was a Swiss artist, Swedish. Sorry, a Swedish illustrator, Gustav uh, Tegren. I'm going to butcher that name. Tegren. I don't speak Swedish, but Gustav was his name. And in 1924, he made this sketch. Before he made the one for Snow White, he made this sketch of a boy running from some really scary, creepy trees reaching out. So then, when Disney hired him in 1937 to do some concept art for Snow White, and this is where we get the creepy trees, right? So that
Yep.
was his artwork. So they put the trees in Snow White. This one, you're gonna laugh at this one. This is the Disneyland version of the trees. They look like they're melted. So this was in Snow White's Scary Adventures. And so this same concept of trees, they decided to put in the Haunted Mansion as well. So it just carried on over there. And then,
Your trees look like the inflatables outside of a car dealership.
this is what they originally looked like in the ride.
Oh, they're very well, they were painted, so a little bit different, but and then those ones are sculpted, right? Or are they all just flat too?
Yeah, no, some of them are painted, but most of them are sculpted. And there
Okay.
is still one left in Snow White's Enchanted Wish. If you go there now, it's just like its scariness is covered up by like happy things. So look for the scary tree when you go to Snow White's Scary Adventures.
Jackie and I were talking about this last night. It bothers me to my core that as the world evolves and things evolve, right? Without in Fantasyland, without Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you would not get the plussing to the level that it is for Snow White's. What's the new name?
Enchanted Wish.
Snow White's Enchanted Wish. And are you kidding me? Could you imagine if we had Snow White's Enchanted Wish in versus Princess Hall? I get
I
it.
know,
I get
painful
it.
for
I get it. It's really important to have a location for kids to see princesses. It's very important. But to dedicate an entire space that almost never has a line more than 30 minutes, that's an
well,
attraction space.
Disneyland built Fantasy Fair, where the Plaza Gardens used to be, and Disneyland has an indoor princess meet and greet, but they didn't replace any of those classic rides to do it. So it could have been done, just didn't do it.
Yes. And there's other things that they could take out that's unneeded, like Sir Mickey's.
Agreed. Can we go
Sir
back to the
Mickey's
trees?
doesn't need to be there.
Are you
Yeah, I'm
okay?
sorry. I'm
Are you gonna
sorry.
be all
I'm
right?
not. I needed to get that out. The venom. All right, I'm done.
It's okay. It's okay to vent, Kirk. I'm here for you. It's
I
all right.
need to it because there's nobody else listens to me. Nobody gets what I'm actually. You get it. All right,
I mean,
moving
I
on.
feel your pain. I get it. I
Yeah.
totally do. But back to the trees. So this one is a later concept art, and this one, or not concept art, I'm sorry, this is a blueprint. And this one shows that we actually have eyes in trees, is what it
Now,
says.
now are
So,
all these blueprints in like the appendix for Boundless Realm? Because there's
mm-mm.
so many of them. Like you've just
I
found
found
these scouring the internet.
some of the just collections, things I found over the years. Yeah, I just got
That's
weird stuff.
I I love it. It's amazing.
So they were
Seriously.
so they shifted from mechanical to eyes in trees concept, which is not. actually, that's been around for a while. Like this one, some of these really early ones, you see this tree has eyes on it and hands. He looks kind of happy to me,
He's got a
honestly.
smile.
Yeah, he's like cheerful. And there's one behind here too that has a little scarier face.
The start of our Phantom 5.
Yes. And so then in the Disneyland version, they put trees with creepy reaching hands and eyes, which I do have some photos of. This is just one of a really good, well lit example, which you actually don't see very much on the ride. When you're on it, you bypass it pretty quickly, and
Does it have like a Pinocchio style nose? You know, where it's like stumpy almost.
yeah. Well, this one looks like it's almost like projecting out. Let me see. I have another
Well, that's
one.
what I'm saying. Like it looks like a branch that's sawed off because it's
Here,
like
you
kind of
can see
stumpy.
all
But
of them. There's 7 of them all together, and they look like this.
how come we don't have any of like? I feel like our trees. I gotta focus on the trees now. Hang on. One other thing to
Oh,
look at.
oh, I have pictures of your trees, my friend. So they also so the Disney World version do not have any eyes. But they do have grasping hands. So like this is the Disney World trees here. And you can see they've got like the creepy claws. But for whatever reason they decided not to put the eyes on the one in the Disney World version.
Interesting. If you look, that upper right does show the roof.
Yeah,
Sorry, your upper left. My bad, because it's
I
flipped.
see it.
Because you can see the chimney stack right there.
Yes.
And is that a shutter
I'm trying to see.
on the left hand side?
Window. It's a not a shutter. Here, I'll put it back. Hmm.
It would be, yeah, it'd be all the way on the left hand, well, your right hand side.
There's definitely a window.
Yeah, you
There's
can
a
see the
shutter.
cutout for that. Interesting.
So yeah, so that's how we get the trees. The trees also came from Sleepy Hollow. There's also creepy trees in Sleepy Hollow. They had that concept there as well, which it was all made around the same time. So they just
Jackie asked the question about placement of the trees. Are they situated in the same way on both rides? Now, I know in the Walt Disney World, we have trees on the left and we have trees on the right. But I think there's only one massive tree on the right and then mainly on the left. And then it all comes in once we get level by the graveyard about to enter in.
I think that I feel like both of them have trees on both sides.
Yeah, we
But
definitely have trees on
Disneyland,
both sides, but yours are so much cooler.
yeah, Disneyland has, I know there's 7 in Disneyland. I have not counted them in Disney World. So we'll have to do that. I'll write that
Things to
down for
do.
my
Things to do.
DMA.
Counting
Count this,
trees.
count the
Hey guys,
creepy.
we're gonna go on the Haunted Mansion. What are you guys doing? We just love it. The stretching room. Yeah, no, we're counting trees. Wait, what? Yeah,
Oh,
we're
here,
counting trees once you exit the attic. You don't do that,
everybody should do that.
right?
This is a better view of the roof too.
Oh
But
yeah.
this shows that railing, the ironwork on the railing, really made to look like those branches as well. So as you're
Hmm.
going down, part of this is the trees. They're reaching for you. It's supposed to be this ominous thing, but it's so hard to see them. Like it's more of almost a subliminal thing. Like, am I being like grabbed by these trees?
Yeah, it
And
feels like they're like taking you, like almost pulling you out of the window as well. And Robbie on here, I agree with Robbie. Kate needs her own Disney Plus show because she is so knowledgeable. And she's like an archivist. And could you imagine if she had access to things that were like behind closed doors and could bring them to light? Forget about it. I also saw a really amazing video of somebody getting evac'd off of the Haunted Mansion. And they walked out the graveyard with all the lights on. And I was like,
I know.
one day,
Maybe on my
please.
Carpe Diem day. That would be incredible.
Yeah. I'll be like, just flip the lights, somebody.
So, it's interesting. I was thinking about that. Somebody asked me, they're like, you should be a tour guide, and of course I can't be a tour guide because Disney doesn't allow that. At least not unless you work for Disney. And people are saying, well, you shouldn't be the tour guide that works for Disney, like the plaids, because it's really not that fun. You're mostly just like catering to wealthy people and doing like getting them stuff.
Yes,
And I was like, yeah,
and
I don't want to
they
do
don't care about this stuff. Like
that. No.
almost, there's actually a really good book written by a plaid about her experience, and it's really fascinating. But like the biggest thing is she realized how most families were really really cool and like really relaxed and down to earth. They just wanted to save time. But yeah, like she could only geek out with like 4%, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like my more ideal job. Sorry, this is a little rabbit trail, but I would love to work in the archives and then like write and make content based on like what I curate. I feel like I need to go get another degree for that though. So maybe I'll just like work there in order to like show the
You're
world what's there. You
you're
know?
you're already doing everything. The real question would be if there's like the chemist part of it, right? So like the actual preservation of things, because that
Yeah.
is a whole other. There was a time period in my life where I was a history major, and at Rowan University we had a rare books collection, and I had to do some community service because they found empty alcohol bottles in our dorm room sophomore year, and I took the heat for everybody. I said it was mine, whatever. I took it for all my roommates. Nobody bailed me out. Lame. So I took a negative, I turned it into a positive, and worked in the rare books collection. Rather than like doing community service, like picking up trash and stuff, I got to work with documents from like JFK, Abraham Lincoln, all of these like amazing. So like I'm in like a thermovac room with gloves on, and literally I had a very boring job. It was literally like manuscript typing, scanning, and putting it into like the electronic card catalog so people could access this data if they wanted to go to the rare books collection. But it was like me and two spindly old ladies who were like, "Dear, just be careful," and I'd be like, "How are you letting me touch this? This is crazy. Like this is like he wrote this. Like this is like from centuries ago." And they were like, "You're fine, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. This is insane." It like felt like real history, and I feel like the same thing would happen to you if you got an archivist job, you know?
Yeah. Maybe someday. Maybe that's in my future. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that I'm going to geek out on Disney, and thank you all for watching it. So,
People will take notice, and I feel like this is in the cards if you want it in the cards.
well, thank you for that. Um, so, as a few more notes as we descend down the.
We haven't even left the attic, people. What are we doing? It's 9:07, and we haven't even left the attic. Welcome to a normal Distory.
I know. So, one of the things that someone has a theory that I've heard is we turn around because they wanted to do something new with the Omnimover. Because in Adventures Through Inner Space, they had it, they turned and whatnot, but they never actually went backwards and tilted. So it was another way of doing something new with their technology that they'd never done before. And it was also, remember all of the Imagineers, a lot of them were cinematographers before they were park engineers. So they think about things in the way a camera does. So this is actually like a camera tilt. It's like a disorienting, like they're focusing you in a specific direction. And in Disneyland, your attention goes up, likely a lot because the Raven is up there, but your attention just like naturally goes up in Disneyland. And your attention tends to go to the right in Florida, from what I hear. I haven't been on it in a while.
It's
That's
because
what
of our lighting. It's our
yeah,
lighting situation pushes us to the right because they have the lit side wall of the building. Then you also see the window and the chimney and the roof. But the
right.
thing that happens before, sorry, I'm going to actually reverse this a little bit, is the first thing that you actually see in the Walt Disney World before we do our big old tilt and turnaround is we're going to see the scrim. So you're going to see a bunch of ghosts, and like they're just like white specters that are
Oh
floating,
yeah.
and there's hundreds of them. And that's on a rolling projector that just is on a feedback loop. That's just this, it's the same exact ones over and over and over onto just, it's the simplest thing ever. It's just onto scrim, which makes it look, it's transparent. That material's transparent, which makes them look more ghastly. So that's the first thing we see over top is all of the ghosts. Remember, this also kind of mirrors what was this for? Victor Geist, the organists coming out of the organ pipes were these same exact specters and ghosts as well. So we see that first, then we get disoriented, pitch up and back, and now we're descending further.
And
Which
those
it is
ghosts,
disorienting. I think a lot of people don't know why we're pitching backwards because
yeah,
logically it doesn't make sense. That's why I don't think we step downstairs like Mike and Karen do in their recording, unless because it was raining, maybe they slip and fall down the stairs. But they don't. They never say that in the recording. So, yeah.
yeah. Well, and the ghosts are largely inspired. What I just showed you was those were the ghosts from Fantasia. So they got that concept of those kind of like wispy ghosts comes from the movie Fantasia. So, um, so I think that you and I agree that we agree that we don't die. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think that we die. I don't. Originally, I had a hypothesis that maybe that would make sense. The only reason why the hypothesis makes sense is because up until this point, and really it's designer, it's not really storyline. Storyline, it would make sense because after the seance room and we actually start seeing the ghosts, but even before then, when we're not seeing them, it is very scary. And that's premise of how the Imagineers designed the attraction because there were so many different inputs. And it's really not until the end of the ride where it becomes boisterous and goofy and more fun, but that was because there was two different concepts for the ride that were pieced together. And the only reason why I could see a little validity to that is everything's scary and spooky, but then once if we died, hypothetical, if we died, they're welcoming us in with a swinging wake, right? So the
Yeah.
swinging wake concept would be that we are now dead. They see us as a ghost. It's the reason why the caretaker would be so scared looking at us because like he just saw somebody fall and die out of an attic. So is that why he's so scared? Is because he just saw a ghost arise from a body? I don't know. There is an inkling, but I really don't think storyline or actualize that we're actually dying here. But
Well, and
I could see fan fiction wise it could.
we also make it out, and then she says, be sure to bring your death certificate. It's like when you come back, you have to have a death certificate to stay there. That to me is a big one. And the other
And
one
ghosts
is
will follow you home with
and
like the
ghosts.
hitchhiking ghosts. They'll follow us home, which means that we're leaving. This
Yeah.
isn't our home, which the mansion was made to be a residence for ghosts.
Right. And the Florida version of the caretaker, he doesn't look at you either. He's more like looking off into what's behind you. So his eyes in the Disneyland version, which is the other one I showed you, he's looking straight at you with kind of wide shocked eyes. But the Disney World version, he's looking beyond you, probably at all of the grim grinning ghosts. So, the people that say, "Oh, it's the caretaker's looking at you," and because he's scared, I was like, "Well, he isn't in one of the
Well,
versions."
this is your version,
Yeah,
Disneyland.
yeah, and
Because
this
you
is
get more
just
of an angle where he's front facing us. Like if you look at his body position, he's at a 45-degree angle in Disneyland, and then in Disney World looking straight at us. Now, in Disney World, we actually have a name for the caretaker. Do you have a name for yours, or would they be congruent?
I have not heard a name, but I'm not saying it.
Ooh, ooh,
I know.
ooh! Oh
Give
my
us a
god!
name.
Oh, let's let's get ready. All right, hang on. Let me pull up some pictures here. Hang on. Where
I'm
did it
like,
go?
I shouldn't be this excited. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I'm
It's
such
the
a
little
fan.
things in life, right? Okay. So, and I also found out something else that I have to go and now look for next time I'm in the Haunted Mansion. So, here is the Disney World version, yet again, of the
Yeah.
caretaker, or as we would call him, Silas Crump. And you'd go, what on earth? How is his name Silas Crump? Not to be confused with the Silas Crump that's in Harry Potter. But outside here in Liberty Square, now this no longer supposedly exists, but I will not take no for an answer, and I will search all over for this. But you can see this is right on the wharf side of the river before it splits off. There was barrels, and right here it says Silas Crump, caretaker of. It doesn't say Haunted Mansion. It says Gracie Manor on the upper right, but Silas Crump, Gracie Manor, caretaker.
Hmm.
So that was in the parks. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's the only thing we have, and we know that things are not necessarily congruent all the time. But also, there was a character meet and greet with Silas Crump, and they actually named the dog as well. So our ghostly little dog, who's all skin and bones,
Boney.
in the meet and greets was called Bones for ours, and yours was called Boney.
Boney. I think Boney was like that somebody went through and decided to name all the dogs in Disney and connect them. And so I don't think it's real. Just like, they're like, that one looks like he's all skin and bones, so we call him Boney.
Yeah. He's no. He supposedly, when they did character meet and greets, they physically wrote it down on pamphlets that you would be meeting the caretaker and Bones was the little doggy. So, which is pretty cool. The other thing, and this is the one that I have to go and actually get pictures of because I've never heard this and never thought, and I was on you get on the web. And so down this path, I find out that in our queue at Walt Disney World,
the emergency exit.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Have you seen it?
No, I was going to look through that when we go.
Okay. All right. So, yes, and yeah. You know what? I'll wait and we'll do it together.
Okay.
Because that'll be like one of those fun ones, right? If you go past, you have to go past, why am I blanking on the mariner's name? But if you pass the crypt of the sea captain, Culpepper's crypt, and then go around, it's one of the Pox. She's there, and then you go. There's a little gate, like a half gate. That's an emergency exit, and there's a staircase. Now, normally you don't go through that extended queue section, but if you were to, in the cement is Silas Crump and Bones's paw prints. So you would have footprints and paw prints in the cement. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but I am very excited to at least go look.
I'm so excited you found that too.
Yeah, dude, I was like, listen, I'm looking at barrels and crates. You're too busy in tree land. I'm in barrel and crate and cement land. So, it's pretty normal.
Never a dull moment for us.
Never. Well, the last time we were together, it was like, yo, let's go look at a bunch of rocks. All right, cool. And we literally didn't go on aerial. We went to just look at the Nautilus, and then I showed you the Steamboat Willie, and you were like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, all right, rock talk. Let's get out of here.
I mean, it's thrilling live, I'm sure, for anyone who's tuning in to watch us look at a bunch of rocks.
Dude, listen, nobody else does this. So I'm like, listen, there's a niche enough of people who are interested in geeky fun facts, because guess what happens? This is exactly what happens. People can't experience it or aren't experiencing it for a long time, but then when they get to and they physically see it, then they point it out, and everybody is so happy and excited to see something new if they're into it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is worse than word vomiting all these fun facts, and people are like, bro, I just want to go on. And you're like, yeah, me too. It's really fun. I'm like,
I feel like I do that.
I'm looking at this was a bad one. When I was leaving Ariel out of the exit queue, there's murals and there's all these pillars. I'm like, I wonder what type of, is that Roman? Is that Greco? Looking at what's wrong with you?
Columns.
Right. You don't know. You got to look at the tops and the bottoms, not just the way that the column is. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I would look at that too.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? But yeah, Silas Crump is what I'm going to go with as the caretaker. I feel it's solidified because it was on a crate.
I'm going to look it up for Disneyland to see if it's also there, because they do look different. One has facial hair and the other one doesn't. So we'll see. Maybe they're two different caretakers. And, by the way, I have to say, there's some really interesting mystery here, because this whole graveyard looks really, really, really old. Everything's falling apart. It's clearly like an established graveyard, but he's got a shovel in his hand. And isn't there a crashed, is it a crashed or a parked hearse nearby? And so he's gonna bury a body in this old graveyard. Does that still happen? I don't know.
So I feel that and kind of some of the history denotes this as well, is that he might be one of the last bastions of somebody who's still alive, who's attached to the mansion, right? like maybe a long lost something attached, or even just a worker who was endowed and the continuous worker. But there is some imagery that puts a date against him. So hang on, let me find it. Now this is not official anything, but this is from a comic book. Flip this around. And it does put a date. And you're like, okay, 1313, is that when it's established? You know what I mean? Like it was an interesting piece in the comic book, but I'm not really sure. One, I don't even know what the comic is from because there's terrible sourcing, so I would have to physically track that down. That's the first thing. So
Well, 1313 is, we saw that in the spell book, was open to 1313, and it's also Disneyland's address. So I think 1313.
right,
Oh,
but
and
are they?
Monsters University was established in the year 1313. My husband just chimed in with that. So Monsters University was 1313. Fun fact.
I didn't know that about Monsters. I'm looking. There's this whole comic book series. Hang on, I gotta just show you this picture. It's from a. This is another one. It's called Monster Makeover. Is the name of the comic. But look at this Madame Leota that they have.
She's like the Hulk.
You don't want to see Madame Leota when I'm angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Oh my goodness.
There is hang on, there's one other, like, look, you can see the knights over here.
When is that from?
No date. Oh, hang on, date. Winter 2004 of Monster Makeover. And you can see that does have the Haunted Mansion on the left-hand side. I would love to get a copy of whatever this thing is. It looks like this is like a reality TV show where like a guy comes in to like redo the mansion. Oh, hello, sir. Ramsley, madame, this is a most unexpected. And he's like, hang on, let me break up all this old dusty stuff. So,
that's fabulous. I love that.
Yeah, I'm so Monster Makeover must be them redoing the Haunted Mansion somehow in this like faux DIY thing.
TV show coming soon on HGTV. Monster Makeover.
We need a canon website for all these Disney facts. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that they're. Luckily, we have a compendium of this, but you're better at pen. You should be comprising all of this into a categorical. It's a lot. It's a book. It really is a book. Because nobody has.
There's a
like,
lot
do you
of
feel like you could write this better than Boundless Realm?
I don't. I think that they did a pretty fabulous job. I would probably put my own spin on it with a lot of different other things. I think that there's a lot of really great blogs out there with some very highly detailed Haunted Mansion stuff. So I feel like it's been done, so it doesn't need to be done. I know Long Forgotten Haunted Mansion is a really great one. And the author of that Boundless Realms actually has a blog as well. But Passport to Disney or something like that. I haven't. It's like an old one though. You go on it hasn't been updated. I think in over a year.
Well, that's what I mean. So, and a new book really hasn't been written. That's why I feel like a narrative that's like the way that you would, because we know as much as we love this book, we do love this book. This book is wrong a lot of times.
Yes.
Like a lot of times. Like did you find it on the next page? I'm sure you did.
That drove me crazy. What do we do?
I know that really upset me as well. This is so sad that you and I know exactly what we're talking about, but it is what it is, right? So anyway, we got 7 minutes left. What do we want to do? Do we want to try to attempt to? How much further can we get? Because like I feel like we would be rushing if we try to get through the Phantom 5, and I kind of want to wait so that we can talk about Grim Grinning Ghosts as well. Because this is the first time that we're actually getting lyrics to that music backdrop, which has been conveyed the entire experience in various different up tempos or down tempos or.
Yeah, I feel like we should definitely hold on the Phantom 5 because there is a lot there. I do have some thoughts about the lighting though that wouldn't take very long if we want to talk about that.
Yes, please.
So the lighting in the Disney World version is quite a bit darker. I did make a TikTok about it recently, just comparing the Haunted Mansion versions. That this kind of go bounce back and forth between them, and you'll notice that the Disneyland version is so much more brightly lit than the Disney World version. And the reason for that is that they use a combination of incandescent light, like your regular light bulb, and also UV lighting, ultraviolet lighting. But the Disney World version only uses UV lighting. So when you go through it was in the graveyard that they used a lot of the incandescent light, and so it's a mix of like making pools of light, like not near the ghosts, pools of light in other places, like with the gravestones and things, so you can see the details, and then the ghosts themselves would have incandescent lights on them, or sorry, UV lights on them. But then they made the ballroom more well lit to reflect the graveyard so that the look of the ghosts would be similar in both. Now in Disney World, they didn't do that. They didn't make them, they didn't really care if they looked the same, so to speak. So yeah. In Disney World, they had to light them up really well with that Pepper's Ghost effect, like you demonstrated last time. They had to use incandescent light to light them up. They could not make them super dark. But the room itself is very, very dark in the ballroom. It's hard to make out some of those details because it is just quite a bit darker overall. So that's the difference between the lighting, because someone asked me recently. And it's they did use some old cans, like old, I don't know if they're paint cans. They used some old cans kind of like cut in half for some of the lighting. They were very like frugal in the Disney. I think it's because it looks like trash or something somebody left in the graveyard. I think it was an aesthetic thing. Somebody's like, no, it was because of money. I was like, I don't think so. But in the Disneyland version, you can see kind of like cans that are cut that have the light bulbs in them to direct the light at a particular place. And
yeah, that's one thing that is I think for most guests they're fine, right? It probably doesn't disrupt their experience, but for folks like us that like really the one that really bothers me more than anything is the attic. I feel like the attic has so many unique pieces to each and every, I would consider them vignettes, right? So like each little scene is like a diorama or a vignette of their experience and their life experience together. And it is so challenging to see all those individualized. And the last thing I want to do, unless I'm like the very last person and nobody's on the 5 in front and the 5 behind, I can't take a flash photo in there. It'll ruin the whole entire vibe for somebody, you know?
Yep, I agree. And it's interesting because the ghosts, there's a scrim that's in the graveyard that kind of creates that like misty effect, which is interesting because they don't get a lot of marine fog in Florida. You guys do get like a haze, like when it's humid out.
We get a ton, especially at night too, and nothing is cooler than seeing the Liberty Bell come next to the Haunted Mansion, and there's a haze, and then the horn goes off, and the lighting, because of the way the lighting is, it's actual bulb lighting on Steamboat. So like for that, it doesn't have like it has like a warm glow, and that warm glow has like almost an aura around it because of all that moisture in the air, and it I don't know, it's so cool to see. I do love it.
Well, in LA, they have something called like a marine fog, like that will blow it. We get that here too in Oregon. Like it comes off of the ocean and it's almost like a fog that like rolls in, and we also see it lift off the trees in the afternoon. It's very like, it's a unique way and it behaves. And that is what they were used to in Disneyland when they developed that scrim. It was a lot of the idea that this marine fog would roll in through the graveyard. So that was why they put the scrim up and made it look that way. It had to do with the place they were used to living in LA, what they would experience often. So in Florida, the ghosts are very much closer to the scrim. And the theory that I hear about it was because Mark Davis was on site in Florida. He was on location while everything was being installed. And so he kind of like played with things in the Haunted Mansion to get it to look just right. Like he would come in and just do an inspection and walk and like reposition things. And so the ghosts are just, they look different Disneyland to Disney World. I think because Disneyland, they were very much like on a deadline getting it done. In Disney World, it sat for a long time finished. They had a long time to go in and adjust things and make it look just right. And I think that's why that there's very high attention to detail in the Disney World version that wasn't in the Disneyland version, personally.
I hot take, the Disneyland version's better, except for our queue. Our queue is the only thing that I would say tells some really unique story elements. But other than that, and I do like our exterior, but that's just a personal preference thing. The way yours is structured and the actual, the experience to me is more authentic in the sense of like we do get a walking portion, right? Like walking past the moving busts to me is like that's huge, and seeing the changing portraits like that gives me a slight element of like Raleigh Crump and what it was supposed to be, and walking. I don't know. That's just a I don't know. Disneyland does so many things better, and I hate saying that, but it's like so true. It's so true. Like it really, really is true, and it's. I feel like we go like big and bold on a lot of things, but sometimes big and bold isn't necessarily great for storyline.
I know I'm doing a lot of these versus videos on TikTok, just showing like the rides side by side, and I feel bad because I'm trying really hard to make it as like impartial as possible. But when I did Small World, I just like, I'm sorry guys, like
there's no so I love that. I told you that's like one of my favorite series on TikTok right now is because who has video footage of like almost the exact angles, right? Like you can take somebody's footage and somebody else's footage and put it again, but if it's the same phone, same behind the lens videographer, they're gonna frame it very similarly. And we talked about this offline, you and I, about Peter Pan. Like our pan is awful. Like our queue is really cute, but the ride needs so much work in comparison. So
it needs a little
yeah,
TLC for sure.
it just needs a plussing. Like, can we please plus it? It's a great attraction. Also, can we like maybe plus the ride system too while you're at it? Like
Yeah.
make it a little bit faster in terms of load sequence or cycling. I don't know how that works, but
Well, does yours? I feel like I was having one of those times when like you remember something that maybe wasn't true. In the Florida version, do you actually go like up and down at all in it, or is it just like one level flying around? Do you remember?
so there is. I feel like the only time if that ever does happen is when we're doing turns,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so, like into the bedroom or going out of the bedroom. But I don't think we really. Gosh, that's such a good question. I think I'm also thinking like Skull Rock, right in front of Skull Rock. We might because it Skull Rock is so low and you're so high. I feel like
Yes.
it at least goes down so to pivot your gaze down. But maybe that's just me making it up. I got to go back on for this one thing that will rock everyone's socks if I'm right.
Well, in Disneyland, like there's very significant times when it dips down, and I think I hadn't been on the Disneyland one in so long that I was actually surprised by it. I was like, "Whoa, what are we doing?" Like, and I think
Hmm.
it's like more pronounced if it, even happens at all in Disney World. It's way more
Yeah,
pronounced.
I mean, all of us are like in that same ilk of we think it kind of does a little bit, but like we're all not really certain. That's
Yeah,
how I feel too, is that like I kind of feel like it does, but I don't really recollect. Next time I go on, I'll make sure to make note of it. And the other thing too is Ginge had mentioned, and I agree with them, storms and the Haunted Mansion perfection. I have a great video of we had to wear ponchos and run as a family into the Haunted Mansion, and I stood underneath the canopy and just took like a like rain and lightning bolts looking up in the mansion. It's so awesome. I was like, this is the coolest. It's like the perfect backdrop for that place, and even
yeah,
more so now with the recording. Right? That's the reason
yeah,
why Mike and Karen had to get out of the rain. So why not get into a mansion?
that makes sense. When was that record put out? Do you know what year?
1969.
Okay, so it's the same as the ride, the Disneyland version. It was interesting. They don't
I
have a lot of
actually,
the storms in California.
I don't really know why or the timeline of when it came out. It almost might have been like a promotional material,
That would
like
make sense.
really close or even before, but I'm
Well,
not positive.
they did put out like a whole all kinds of things. They had a radio ad that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
They had a radio ad. They had a postcard like
Yeah, there
fold
was like
out.
a periodical. Right.
Hmm. So there was all kinds of things. So I wouldn't surprise me if that was like to hype up the kids so they wanted to tell their parents we got to go to Disneyland. You know?
Right. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know what would be sick is like if they gave out like coloring books or something, you know? Something that tells the story of something, but it's like interactive and interesting, and then you're like, oh, we should go on this ride, you
Yeah.
know?
Or cereal. They get kids with cereal.
Oh,
Haunted Mansion cereal.
oh,
Can we please have
stop.
that?
Stop. I mean, it's basically just take like, not Count Chocula, but like Boo Berry or something. Like, it's basically, we're already almost there, you know?
Yeah, little hitchhiking ghosts.
Little, who wouldn't buy that? Disney? Do you need some ideas?
Come
We're
on.
chock full of them. We'll help. We'll even execute. We'll hire a designer. We'll execute the design. We'll make sure the taste is right, the look is right, the story is there. We'll have a QR code that goes to like a little story piece to make it more interactive, you know. And then we'll tie in merch with it so you can make some more money. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's do this.
I, we have so many ideas.
So
We
all
could
the
make
ideas.
millions. They would just listen.
No, we just have to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that is all I'm going to say. I have so much more, but we out of time, so we'll have to save the family
Yeah.
time for
Well,
next
you know what's crazy is we just took an hour and 6 minutes to go from the attic to the caretaker and gates of the graveyard. So we went approximately 65 feet, which takes about 40 seconds, maybe a
Yeah,
little less, 30 seconds, and it took us an hour and 6 minutes. Par for
that's
the
how
course.
it is. Yeah.
That's how we roll at Distory. We want to be in depth and geek out. And Kate is the best of the best. I mean this sincerely. I tell you this all the time. You are hands down the best historian of parks history. Period. Full stop.
Thank you. You're so
Hands
kind.
down. Yeah,
There's
you are. You are. It's so fascinating to listen to because I can research a bunch, but you are so good at it and you have all this source material, whether it's primary or secondary sources to pull from that it's just so exciting to be able to see all of this stuff culminated in there. So it's awesome. Also, a bunch of people are asking, they like the sweatshirt. I don't even know if I'm turned back enough, but yeah,
yeah.
it does say Famished Mortal on it. I know it's backwards, but and then it has the bride cake, which you guys had a slightly different or may still have it, but that was a Gili cake that they did for Boo Bash. But we also had it when there was no Not So Scary or Boo Bash. They gave everybody access to the Halloween exclusive treats, and I did a review very many moons ago, sitting on the Liberty Bell top floor looking out onto the Haunted Mansion, and I had the cake right on the railing there. And the cake was good. It was really fun. But yeah.
Every time you say Liberty Bell, my brain is like not thinking. I think like Mark Twain, right? So like every time you say Liberty Bell, I know it's the ship, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
you just sitting on that bell that's in, like sitting
Well,
on the Liberty.
dude, you've now ruined me, and so has Skip have ruined me. Every time I go past Columbia Harbor House, I'm staring at the picture of the Columbia, and I'm like, why don't we have that boat? Like I'm in Disneyland for like 1 second, and I'm agitated that we don't have that here. So, you
Yeah,
know.
it rains too much. Change the weather, and then maybe they'll give you one. But it doesn't hold that many people too. It holds like 300 and something people.
Yeah, I mean, there's the other thing that I wish we had. This is another, or I wish I would have experienced was the swan boats because I look at that path the swan boats took around the castle, like it makes it functional. Like how cool is it if you could get a different perspective and go underneath the bridges through these little waterways around, and it went all the way out to Swiss Family Tree and
No.
then turned around.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so
yeah.
cool.
And they can't bring
But
them back now because of the way they redid all of that plaza area. It's just a tunnel now for the water, like a little tube. It's
yeah,
not. You can't.
there's no way to actually there's no throughway there anymore. So, you know. Oh,
Yeah.
also, my friend tour guide Barbie said there's a couple of things that she can't get out of her head in terms of scents, and I'm excited because we're going to experience one of them on July 11th. One was I forget what she called it, like stereo something, was the chemical spray that they put inside to clean the the costumes. So she was a friend of Pluto and a friend of a bunch of other characters, and she said they use this really good antiseptic, but like you can't get that smell out of your head. And the other smell is the utilidors. And she said you would pray to anything that you wouldn't get dripped on. So I'm excited, and I hope that we get dripped on and we smell the
No,
utilidors as
you
a
could
come
get dripped
on,
on.
it's a part of that. It's part of the experience.
No, I'm gonna wear my new Haunted Mansion dress then. I'm gonna premiere it. I don't want it to get dripped
Are you?
on.
Did you already pick something out?
I bought it. I have it. It needs to be washed and ironed. I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till July
Okay.
11th. Be my
Well,
new.
I think I'm going Butler. I don't know how to like make Butler work really well with like the temperatures and everything, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna figure it out.
summertime,
Now
but
the pressure's on. Now the pressure is on. I gotta make a really good outfit. What I am really good at piecing together Goodwill stuff into like my own. That's always my thrifty way of doing it, and it always looks really good when it's like handmade versus
no,
just like
I
bought.
cannot wait to
There's not a
see
lot
it.
of good costumes online. Dresses, different story. Y'all
I
get
feel
all the
like
fun stuff
we got to get a good photo when we're there too. Of our.
in front of the haunted mansion,
Hmm.
preferably. You
Yeah.
know, maybe that would be a good day that I can solicit some help from some friends who are good at stuff like that, but we're not paying them. They're just doing it because we're together and it's your day.
You're
If you
like,
know
we're
what I mean.
you.
Right. A short sleeve butler. Yeah, I don't think I'm wearing a tank top as a butler. No, but I got it. And thank you so much for the Father's Day. Yes, any fathers or husbands, and Elliot, of course. Happy
Yes, happy
Father's Day
Father's
coming
Day.
up. Yeah, yeah, very exciting.
Do you have plans for it? You do
So
fun?
my tradition every year is for Father's Day we go to a theme park. That's what we've been doing ever since the girls were young, and traditionally it's been Sesame Place because nobody would be there. We would have a blast. This year we're not going to go to Disney, but we're going to go to Busch Gardens. And my mom is down from New Jersey, so she's going to get to come to Busch Gardens too. She hasn't been since for at least I think she said 25 or 30 years. So I'm like so stoked. She's going to love it. So
That's exciting. Oh,
yeah, yeah, I'm very excited.
Kate in my
What are y'all doing?
well, I just want to mention Kate says bring an umbrella for the utilidor section. Like, look at my parasol, my haunted mansion parasol.
You should, yeah, yeah, and a tightrope, just like
That would be a fun costume too. What are we
I could
doing?
just dress up like George and put an axe in my head.
Oh, that would be epic. That would be like a
You know?
headband you could put on.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, like where you just
yeah.
wear it and it's like sticking out.
Um,
Dude,
what
that
are we
would
doing?
sell really well too. If they made
Yeah.
like a George and it said like courtesy, oh howdy partners, thank you so much. If they had like a George like courtesy of Constance or like yours truly now and forever
Yours
or
forever. Yeah. Yeah.
right, right, right,
Yeah. Um, to answer your question for Father's Day, we actually headed to the beach for a week tomorrow. So
Oh,
next week I'll be at the beach for this
is
story.
this there? You don't have to say the beach, but like nice beaches up in Oregon, or is this a different locale?
Yeah, it's an Oregon beach, and it's
Oh, cool,
yeah.
cool.
So which we actually don't call the beach in Oregon, we call it the coast, and it's never warm at the beach at the coast because
Yeah,
it's only going to be like 50, 60 degrees maybe. So we're like not
yeah,
packing and stuff. We do
right,
like
right.
tide pooling is big there. So we see like starfish and stuff in the tide
Oh,
pools.
that's cool.
And we go see the lighthouses. There's a bunch of lighthouses. Those are like the main thing. And the sea lions. There's a ton of sea lions, so we see them a lot. So
Oh, that's cool.
we're gonna go out to eat and have some great seafood and enjoy Father's Day. And I'm really excited to go spend some time with my family. So
Yeah,
great.
that'll be perfect. And you can go see where the Goonies was filmed because that's not that far
Oh,
away.
no, Oregon's a really big state. That's like a 6.5 hour drive because it's at the top of the state,
What?
and we're in the
Oh, that's
middle of it.
crazy. Oh,
We're in the
okay.
middle. It's a top.
I feel like Oregon reminds me a lot of Maine. Like people. Oh,
Thank you, Rhonda, for that.
Oregon reminds me a lot of like Kennebunkport, Maine, where it's like rocks, it's cold, and somehow people are going in the water, and you're like, you're insane. But enjoy the coast.
Yeah, people
Everybody in
do.
New Jersey called it the shore. Everybody down here, it's the beach.
Yeah, we do. We do put our toes in the water sometimes, but all the water's like from Japan and it's like icy cold. So you don't really like. Some
Hmm.
people do wetsuits and they do like go in. We watch the whales. We have a lot of whale watching because we have gray whales and orcas that come by. So that's really nice too. It's really beautiful, and it does. When I lived in Ireland, when we'd go to the coast, I'm like, this looks exactly like Oregon. It's very similar, rocky coastline, beautiful, beautiful place. And watching the sunset over the water is my favorite thing. So I'm very excited for sunsets.
That's gonna be lovely.
Yeah.
Sea lions and whales and then now everybody's talking about, well, Michael, it may be the shore to you, but it's the beach to everyone else, you shooby. But and then Jersey Shore. Jersey Shore, let me just put this out there, being that I'm from New Jersey and everywhere I would go, they'd be like, "Oh, Jersey Shore," and they'd always be talking about like the show and everything. And I will just say, all those people are mainly from North Jersey or New York. That would didn't good, not a good representation of all of the Jersey coast. However, there's a lot of people I know that do talk like them. So, you know, is what it is.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. Well, and those beaches are really different too. We go to Rehoboth Beach sometimes in Delaware because we have family on
Hmm.
the East Coast, and that is like, they got the promenade and you've got like
Yeah,
beans
that's
and
like
that ice cream. Like that's
right,
not the
right.
Oregon for the most part, not Oregon.
Yeah, like if you actually go to the only thing that the boardwalk is missing in Disney to like authenticate the boardwalk, because they have like a bunch of performers and stuff very similar. They have a bunch of games very similar. Is they're missing rides. Rides are always a thing at the New Jersey boardwalks. They'll always have some sort of like, yes, arcades, yes, cheesy carnival food, pizza, all that stuff, ice cream. Uh, but it needs rides, and some of the
Well,
best rides
they have the
ever.
creepy clown with the slide on the pool, so they got that.
It's gone,
They took
gone.
the
They
clown down.
refurbed the pool about 2 seasons ago, and now it is
Oh,
the new Mickey and Minnie animated series. Which smart on them to change the IP
very
away
smart.
from the creepy clown. Although the creepy chairs still exist with Paul and Alex. Do you know what I'm talking about in the
Yeah,
boardwalk? The creepy
yeah,
chairs.
yeah.
Yeah, they're really
They're
fun.
those are terrifying. I can't
They
believe they
actually
kept those.
move the fuel rod location to right next to them, so I can always say hello to these creepy demonic chairs. Ginge, I feel like this would be right up your alley. One of those chairs. You would love to have one of those in your house. I would
Those
be
chairs are
horrified.
so scary. The nightmare inducing
Hmm.
chairs. Honestly, they're so
Yes,
creepy.
yes, they are. They are definitely different. Lake Erie beaches are just rocks and they hurt. You know what's interesting? So where we're located, if you're at like Tarpon Springs or North, it is basically all shells, like crushed shells, and it hurts. And there's rocks everywhere, and you're like, this is not a beach. But everywhere south of that, some of the best. And the Gulf water is so nice. Like almost everybody who's in Orlando or on the East Coast, they all come over to the Gulf for the beaches because it's
Yeah,
too dang cold over there.
I've been to the Gulf Beach. It's beautiful. The water is so warm. It's like bath water. It's
We
really
went
nice.
today and it was like I would say it was probably like 88 degrees and it was calm and crystal clear. Just doesn't get much better than that.
It's been so cold here. I have not
Oh,
put my winter
Siesta Key. Yeah,
away.
great one. Yeah, it's been so cold. What?
It's been so cold here. I haven't put my winter clothes away yet. We've had massive amounts of rain. I don't know if you've seen that flooding in Yellowstone that's happened. We're getting like
No.
that same kind of rain. Like almost all the major roads in Yellowstone washed away because of their record rainfall, and we've had almost the
Whoa.
same here. It's been really, really rainy, which is really unusual for us. Usually, I turn on my sprinkler. We have sprinklers here because we don't get any rain in the summer at all. We don't have afternoon showers. We have zero rain from usually mid June all the way through early September. There's no rain in Oregon, at least where I live. So it's weird now that like there's so much rain and it's
Yeah,
cold.
like we're the opposite too because that's the time period where we're the rainiest and then it does not rain at all. Like it's when we moved here in September, like our parents would always ask us like, "Hey, how's the weather been? Like any much rain?" And it was like 100% zero rain and it's awesome. It's like 85 and perfect, no humidity. And it really is that all the way until you get to like middle of January, and then you start dipping into like the 70s and the 60s a little bit. You'll get like maybe 3 days out of the year that are in the 50s. It's wild.
I know. That's why I like to go there in January and February because it's like my ideal weather. So
Yeah,
July,
it's a good.
I'm going to be
Yep.
sweaty and hot, and it's going to be gross.
You just have to embrace it. Embrace the sweaty. Everyone else is just,
I
it is
know.
what it is.
I'm not going to look great, but I'll have fun. That's what I'm.
I bet you look great, and we can keep a running tally of how many people go, oh my gosh, I love your dress. Because that's basically what the show was when we were together, was, oh my God, you look so cute. Oh my God, I love your dress. Oh my God, you look so cute.
But it was February.
That's basically what happened.
But I don't look as cute
Yeah, okay.
in July.
But everybody looks like this in July. We all look like the caretaker. Silas Crump.
Yeah. That's right up there with the pop-up ghost. You're the caretaker. So you could combine the two. You could do like the caretaker with the pop-up ghost. Like, I want to see that.
Speaking of which, big news, and I'll give you a little hint, a little taste for any of you kiddos. Just for the sweatshirt, walruscarp.com, check it out, famished mortal stuffs. But this is a map because on Monday we are doing the magical race, which is like the amazing race. Here are the rules that I know. We start at 8 a.m. at the Transportation and Ticket Center. We must travel to 18 resorts and all 4 parks, completing various challenges at each one of our stops. And we may only use Disney transportation. So within this notebook is a ridiculous strategy of what I think is the most efficient, ridiculously efficient way to go through all of the parks. So I was nerding out on that earlier today. My brain couldn't stop thinking of like, I need a good strategy or I can't sleep tonight. So I had that down as well as doing my research. So if you want to see that, that's going to be Tattoo Disney Dad, myself, Walrus Carp, and Lemuel, Magic Bands and Trash Cans, starting at 8 a.m. on Monday. But I'll probably get there way before then. Maybe I'll go to the Contemporary and play some skee ball before, just to loosen up,
Loosen up. I love that.
Dude, it's so much fun, yeah.
Fun. I might actually have time to watch it since I'll be at the beach. So.
Yeah. Well, you'll be shivering, so, stay warm by watching
I'll be in
us.
my blanket with my hot chocolate. And
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. It's like
we're gonna make
summertime.
s'mores. Probably make s'mores with the driftwood. When you use driftwood, it's blue flame, so I'm really excited for that.
Ooh,
Fire.
pro tip. We just tried this because somebody just told us at the beach today to try this because we were talking about making s'mores and the kids wanted to make these little like pretzel thing. Anyway, try a Reese's cup on a s'more.
Oh, I've done
Sub
that.
out the chocolate. Oh, it is. It's a thing, and now
I
they
can't
have.
believe you've gotten this far without doing that yet.
I've done a lot of things
Surprise.
that and I haven't done a lot of things too. Yeah, but that was not one of them. And they have these now like Reese's Thins. It kind of reminds me of Oreo Thins. They're like it's like the perfect amount of chocolate because otherwise it's like that would be
Peanut
huge
butter.
to do the
Just
big one, right?
Oreo
It'd be
peanut
like
butter. Yeah.
right.
No, we might have to try that. We should get some of those. That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, okay. Next episode will be episode number 10.
Nine. I
9?
think this was 8.
I think, yeah, but I think this is part 8 of Haunted Mansion, but episode 10 altogether. So episode 10 of Distory, Haunted Mansion, part 9, and we'll finally be getting into the graveyard. I guarantee we will do the Phantom 5. I cannot guarantee that we will make it to the Singing Busts, but we'll at least get one step closer. We might, but I don't know. There's a lot in between there to get there. And now, because I'm going back, I feel there's a couple of things that I definitely want to look at and take pictures of, and that may bring me down a web. So
you got to look for that thing that I asked you to look for before we get to the mummy. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, I got you. But I said this before, I think on a live, but I don't think I said this specific. I said, I have my types of friends are the ones that send me random pictures and go, hey, can you try to find this random blank object? And because I just want to see if there's any truth in it exists over in there. Okay, no problem. That's what we do. How we roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you enjoy your week off, and I'll catch you when I catch it. And next week we'll catch all of you here at 8:30 p.m. on Fridays for another episode of Distory. Excited to go into the graveyard with y'all. Do a little grim grinning ghost. I bet we don't get past the Phantom 5. So I'm putting 9 out of 10. We don't get past it.
It's all right.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great, to all the fathers and to all the hubbies who have kiddos, have an amazing weekend, and take good care. Yeah. Foolish mortals. We're looking for an extra one to join us. So
be sure to bring your death certificate.
Now, look alive. All right, I'll see you guys. You gurgling gargoyles.
Thank you, foolish mortals, for joining us. We really enjoyed having you. We'll see you soon.
And please go follow Kate. If you're not following her, click over and follow Kate.
Him.
So, yes, people do things. All right, see you guys. Have fun.
Bye, everyone.